on page 3. And there was one other thing, but I can't find it. Yeah, okay. Top of page 2, first line, it should be Congressman Samphar, not Senator Samphar. And that's it. With those changes, I move to accept.
Okay, do I have a second?
I also made some minor changes
Okay.
with Trish because it says City Planner Leal. I changed it to Orbach, correct? And a minor change under F, Public Meetings and Committee Reports. It says Metropolitan Improvement Plan, and it's actually the Metropolitan Transportation Improvement Program. So that's all I had. So
Okay.
with Rick's changes, then
Okay, I have a motion. I need a second.
I'll amend.
second.
Okay, roll call vote.
I did.
Rick, and then second was Joe Dozio.
Councilmember Bach,
Aye.
Councilmember Edge,
Aye.
Councilmember Cosio,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Lund,
Aye.
Mayor Moore.
Aye.
All members of the council being present, the motion as stated by the maker passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you. Item number 4, presentation, informational items, and reports. It's a proclamation, I think that the city clerk has, she wants to read, freedom from workplace bullying in the workplace. So, Rick?
Okay, this was sent to me via email, an organization, I think out of Sacramento, and we did this last year as well. So, declaring October 19th through 25th, 2014, Freedom from Workplace Bullies Week. Whereas the City of San Juan Bautista has an interest in promoting the social and economic well-being of its employees and citizens, and whereas that well-being depends upon the existence of healthy and productive employees working in safe and abuse-free environments, and whereas research has documented the stress-related health consequences for individuals caused by exposure to abusive work environments, and whereas abusive work environments are costly to employers with consequences including reduced productivity, absenteeism, turnover, employee dissatisfaction, and injuries, and whereas protection from abusive work environments should apply to every worker and not be limited to legally protected class status based only on race, color, gender, national origin, age, or disability. Now therefore, the Mayor and Council of the City of San Juan Bautista hereby proclaim October 19th through 25th, 2014, Freedom from Workplace Bullies Week, and commends the California Healthy Workplace Advocates and the Workplace Bullying Institute, which raise awareness of the impacts of and solutions for workplace bullying in the United States, and encourage all citizens to recognize this special observance. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, monthly financial statement and treasury report. Is Chuck here? No?
I think everybody.
Chuck will be late here, so if you want to continue. Or...
It's up to you. If you got any questions, we can you probably can answer them, Roger. You know?
Pretty straightforward.
Okay.
We're finding a little anomalies in the cash flow of the general fund, but that's primarily due to the fact that we have not received the last payment of the property tax. So, overall, the cash flow was positive 260. Enterprise funds show a positive of about $2,000, and the other enterprise of the sewer, it's about $11,000 for the plus.
Any questions from council?
Yeah. The enterprise funds are down a little bit from last year. Is that because of the drought? Yeah, that's kicking in now, huh? Okay. And then there was a couple of warrants that I wanted.
Yeah. The city hall,
Yeah.
one there, that's
City
for the
Manager
fire
Grimsley, your
contract.
microphone.
That's right.
Sorry.
Contract? Yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And U.S. Bank, 1728. Is that a credit card?
Yeah, that's a credit card, yes.
Okay. And Hatch, Mott, McDonald.
That's the environmental consultant to prepare the EIR for the ARCO station, and that's all reimbursed. I
Okay.
think there was Grassetti's is another one that's reimbursed. Hatch is another one, and I think there's 2 or 3 of them down there. Hatch McDonald, and then there's another one on the back page.
And then Mark Nicholson.
At the last one, $34,700 on the second page.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the Hatch.
Good.
And then Mark Nicholson, that's some of the work that has been done for the Mission RV Park, connecting
Oh,
the
yeah.
the sewer line into the new force main, and the other is the grading at the sewer treatment plant for removing the sludge.
Oh, okay. And new SV Media, 1,029?
New SB.
It's right below Mark Nicholson.
Those are public hearing notices to the newspaper.
Oh, that's the
Oh, okay.
newspaper, yeah. Mhm.
Okay, and then, Hatch McDonald, I see that. Okay,
Yeah.
great. That was all I had.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Any questions regarding?
That's all.
Yeah, I think that's
That's it?
same things
Okay.
I've got noted.
Okay.
And then it looks like the Wellington Law Offices is starting to climb a
Keep
little
up,
bit.
yeah, yeah, that's a direct relationship to the litigation that we're experiencing.
Yeah, I signed another check today.
More expense?
Okay. Sheriff's report, there's not one in here. We kind of have a speaker card in that, so we kind of knew what was going on the last couple of weeks, but I'll open it up to public comment.
Eric Rudisell?
Sorry, threw this together last second. The Neighborhood Watch Group met this last Thursday to address topics of concern. Of course, our main topic was the recent rash of break-ins and burglaries. I think I speak for the rest of the group when I say that we are relieved that there have been arrests in this matter. I also want to let you know that I will be helping to put together a website that we've kind of started and kind of languished on with a little bit. We'll be updating it and posting where people can get more information on the Neighborhood Watch, dates, any guest speakers as we have them as well. And so that everybody knows, Neighborhood Watch meetings are now the second Thursday of each month. They're held here at City Hall. And we will also be making a statement within the City Council meeting each month here. Yes, sir.
Eric, what is the title of your website?
Right now it is, we'll get it out. It's pending. We'll throw together something. The website's actually got a really long address. What I'm hoping to do is set up a very clean address and have it linked to the more elaborate address. So it's not really set up. The information on it isn't really accurate, and that's something that we're going to be working on to try to refine so that people can go there and see when meetings are, when guest speakers may be coming, and also hope to have something on there if they want to leave something pertinent to a neighborhood watch type question.
Thank you.
And we need to get that link to the city website, too,
Yeah,
so that you can go to the city website and find the neighborhood.
Yeah, once I get the clean address, then I'll get together and we'll figure out how to get it on the website so that people can get to it and link it across. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Okay, no questions? Anybody else that'd like to speak regarding the sheriff's report? Okay, seeing none.
I was hoping to invite the sheriffs also to, and the fire department too, when they give theirs, to the library open house. I will send them emails since they're
And it,
Not here
just
tonight.
to let you know, is the fire will have an open house September the 27th, Saturday.
right. Is there any more information on the break-ins available for public announcement? Because those were pretty talked about downtown.
Yes, yes.
Guy's picture was in the paper.
The first
Yeah.
arrest, yeah, but I understand there are or will be more arrests possibly.
Hopefully, yes. They're still working on trying to establish a connection with some other players in that
What were the businesses that were burglarized?
Well, 2 weeks ago, it was the Basque Restaurant, the Mission Cafe, and the Clock Shop, wasn't it?
Margot's.
Yeah, right.
Margot's, Clock Shop,
Margot's,
Mom and
yeah.
Pop's.
Mom and Pop's.
And
Mom and Pop's, second
was
one.
another antique store.
Yeah,
Down here.
in the antique store, yeah.
And which?
The Zen Gallery.
The Zen Gallery?
Zen Gallery, yeah.
And Carnage.
Okay.
Okay. That it? Yes, okay.
For sheriffs? Yeah.
Okay. Fire chief's report, I see Chief Fox is here. Do you have anything to say, Chief? Okay.
Just the announcement that the fire department will have an open house on the 27th, Saturday. Everybody's welcome.
Is that 11 to 3?
11 to 3, yes.
11 to 3? Roger will be cooking.
Roger may
I
be
thought you were
cooking,
gonna have
Roger is
pancakes.
cooking.
I thought you were going to make pancakes.
At 11 o'clock? You know what I'll be having.
Okay. Library.
Give this announcement for the...
Oh, okay.
Well, actually going back to the fire report and stuff, did a shift last week, and we went around to a couple of businesses doing some inspections, and everybody was really receptive for us to come in there and give them a report on conditions. And we followed up, Captain Peronella, who's stationed here right now, he went back for some follow-ups, and everybody was in compliance, and the reports have been going really good.
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 And my compliment to the captain, he's very public relation minded, and he's not goes into with an adversarial relationship. He's worked with the owners, and they appreciate that. Yeah.
What's his name? He's a captain?
Peronella?
I think Roger
Captain
mentioned
Peronella?
it on his
How do you
deal.
spell that?
You're asking me.
Trish, anybody?
Yeah, well, we'll get that to you.
Is it a P or a
P, yeah.
Peronelli,
JP.
something like that, huh?
We know him as JP, but we call him Captain Peronella too.
Okay.
Everybody's been, it's been really good. He's been doing a great job with the follow-ups and everything. Everybody's been really receptive in that area. And we've also, what we've been doing is during the inspections is we've been getting a pre-plan. So when we have a business there that we'll know how and where the electricals are, where the gas is located, and we're making notes, putting that in the book. So if we have a call at that location, we're going to have a pre-plan for that location.
Excellent.
Great. Any other comment? Okay. Library report.
Pretty self-explanatory.
There's a lot of books read.
Hey, Roger, I know we service a lot of people who go by there. How many library cards have we issued total from the city and the county? I'm just curious. I mean, I see a lot of people
I
that.
don't know offhand.
I'm just
but,
curious. I
yeah.
thought about that.
Yeah.
We service a
Yeah.
lot of clientele, and I thought, hey, and I know a lot of them are from the county, which is fine. I was just
Yeah.
curious.
I think they tried to restrict it at one time and found out that they would lose access to borrowing,
Right, they did, yeah.
and so,
Yeah.
you know, we have to service everybody.
Cool. Okay.
It is interesting, you go in there and all the computers are in use. Every
No,
time
that's
I
a
go
good
in there,
deal. It's a good
kids are
deal.
in there, so-
And we don't have any pull either when we go in.
On the library report, I see a note here that a member of the auxiliary is writing a grant for submittal to the San Benito County Community Foundation for funds to run a sustainable summer program for our youth. We are reaching out to El Teatro, local teachers, and any other local organization that may be willing to partner. She came and spoke at our strategic planning committee, and it sounds like a very interesting grant. I hope they get it.
Okay. 4F, administrative report, city manager, city planner, and code enforcement.
Basically, at Public Works, the crew has maintaining their routine maintenance. They're working out on the underground electrical for the well number 3 and getting the lift station going. And last week, I want to compliment the Boy Scout troop for helping us paint the red curbs throughout the downtown area, and they did an outstanding job. And maybe we can talk them into helping us barbecue for October the 11th.
And maybe paint more curves, too.
Yes. Okay. Code enforcement, Matt's been on top of it, and he's been writing a lot of letters and stuff like that, so we're trying to get up to speed to get a number of the violations, so it's promising,
While you're on that one, Roger, I would like to compliment Matt's efforts and probably yours too. I imagine it's a double-pronged effort, but I have been noticing a lot less obstructive type vehicles blocking lanes and that sort of thing just this past month.
Planning department, pretty much we're getting ready for all the public hearings and the showdown on our lawsuit, so I think that's been keeping us busy on the noticing and stuff like that. We've got approval on a 27-lot subdivision on 3rd Street, and that'll hopefully start some development and widen in 3rd Street and get a little roundabout. That was one of the conditions that was put on by this council, and the owner is implementing that provision. Our report, our planning functions have been kind of consuming a lot of our activity here lately, and so we haven't been doing a lot of the necessary budgets, but I have contacted, and later on tonight you'll see a contract with Fair Electrical that'll he's going to handle the electrical load not only for the lift station and stuff like that, but he's also going to be handling all the electrical and the establishing the need for the pellet plant. So everything that's installed will be implemented later when we get ready to do the pellet plant down the line. And then community development block grant, unfortunately, some sad news. We did not get funded in our grant application. We were a little bit weak in there. The Letitia Johnson from the state called Matt and I, and she said that she'd like an exit interview with us so they can help us out on our next go-around, which is coming up in next April. And maybe we can qualify for some more points and then get a better application going so we can get funding. And we've been in contact with her, and I'd like to, rather than do a telephone exit interview, is I would probably push to say, hey, let's drive up there and meet her in person and then show her what we have here and then how she can help us out.
She's in Sacramento?
Sacramento.
It would be nice to have that first.
They didn't give any reason.
They said that we were a little bit on the heavy side of ineligible projects, and we tried to identify that, and that's why we want to get into an exit interview and everything. We know that our application was really geared for a lot of water improvements with the pellet plant and stuff like that, and so we want to find out their rule of thumb if we can get a more broader picture of different needs in our application and then maybe score some more points.
On something like that, Roger, could like Trish and Matt go to the exit interview and glean the information you need, or do you need to go in person?
Well, we don't have to go in person. We could do it over the telephone.
No, I understand that,
Yeah.
but I can see your point about going in person. I just meant because of your time constraints.
Yeah.
I just wondered if, like, Matt and Trish could go, or if it needs to be Matt and you, or...
Yeah, right. No. Yeah,
because I have no idea. I was asking.
Either one, yeah, right. It's just a question where it's always good to be there and introduce yourself and look at them in the eye, and it gives you a little bit better feel down the line. Yeah.
So you feel like it would probably be the most positive
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd feel more comfortable
for
with
you to
Roger
go
going.
yourself.
Question on the report. Third and North Street, how far into our right-of-way is the encroachment of that project there on the corner?
That curb and gutter sidewalk was, I think, I don't know for sure, but it was installed so that those poles didn't have to be relocated. And if they was properly done, the sidewalk would be relocated 8 feet back.
8
8 feet back, yeah.
You look at the map and you can see that they're way in there. I didn't think we had any control over that because it was a court settlement.
Yeah, right, yeah.
But,
Yeah.
yeah, they had to adhere to the setback.
Yeah.
Okay, that's going to be good.
Roger, on a project like that, I know where I live, it was, phase 1 was custom-built homes on lots, and then phase 2 down towards the end of Lang Street, those were tract homes. I just wanted to know a little bit more about phasing, because I think you mentioned that these 27 homes would be phased in.
Phased in, yes, right.
That we might do 6
Yeah.
homes and then 8 homes.
Yeah.
Will each phase have to go through the planning?
I think what we left is that they would appear in front of the planning commission with their proposal and show how that's going to be phased in the styles of homes, and then they'll probably develop a master phasing plan, and then they'll go about it rather than come back on each phase to the planning commission.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whereas a larger one like Lang Street, that probably was done in 2 separate
2 separate projects.
things.
Yeah.
Because, I don't think that they did anything in phase 2 until
Yeah,
after phase
yeah.
1 was complete. Just curious. Thank you.
Is that it, Roger? Are you gonna? Are you done?
I'm finished.
All right, okay. Any questions? Any further questions? I just want to bring up regarding the painting by the Boy Scouts. That was my son going after his Eagle Scout. And I want to compliment Roger. He met us at City Yard, and he didn't stop working until the kids. I mean, I'm serious.
I know, I saw him out there working.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
And
They
it was
did a good
myself and then Brent's Boy Scout leader. And, Boy Scouts and some students from Anzar. They were putting in some service hours.
Yeah.
But I'm really glad the city welcomes that kind of involvement for the young people of the community to get service hours and other type of programs. But I thought they worked, it turned out pretty good.
It did.
And I just want to thanks Roger and for just working this feverishly.
Yeah.
And it was good. And thank you.
Mr. Moore, I know the Boy Scouts often like to do things, fix a computer program or do something that involves more thinking than labor sometimes. But do you think there's any possibility that we could get these kids back to, I'd say maybe a third of the city is painted now properly, and if we could
We've done it
do
3
another
years.
third
We've
and
done it 3
another-
years in a row. The first year was down in this section.
Yeah.
And then the other section, we went down towards Creek Bridge, and then this section here, we did 5th, 6th, and 7th, from there. So
Yeah.
we're making the round. I don't like to keep them on 3rd or 4th because there's just too much traffic.
yeah, because it has been a while since
And
those
if I
two
do
streets
that,
have
I'll
been
do
done.
that with our Public Works crew, just because of the safety.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a great tool because even when you first came on, Terry started painting the 4x4 post, the brown, and then I see a lot of them are deteriorating, are fading, and some aren't even painted. But the hydrants and that, but I pass it on to the troop leaders and even the troop out of Hollister that we're open to helping these young kids, to get service hours.
Maybe we'll get them trained to be barbecuers, train them too.
But anyhow, okay, I'm done. Any other? Okay, 4G, public meetings and committee reports.
Who are we going to start with? Julie?
We had
Go ahead.
a parking committee, I guess you call it. And it was a good meeting. Roger, Rick couldn't make it. It was in the morning. Myself, Father Jerry, Ruben Zepeda, I'm the superintendent of the schools, and then Matt Fuzzy. Is that how you pronounce his name? Who's he? From the state park. Somebody from the state park.
He wasn't there, but the other guy was there, yeah.
Oh, that's Sean.
And then
yeah.
Bill Rupert, yeah.
Yeah, and Bill Rupert, yeah. And at least somebody from the state park showed up. And we discussed our concerns about the bus parking along, and that the state park and the mission should, I mean, that's where all these people are going, coming to visit. So the father was going to talk to the archdiocese about possibly somehow getting to use that lot over there, the possibilities of it. State park didn't have too much input, but I don't know.
I think overall, what Councilman Bach is saying is it was productive from the standpoint of getting them to discuss the issue, and they all recognize that it is an issue, and now we just have to start to identify some of the steps to achieve where we want to get going. And I think the next meeting that we'll have some more handouts, and then Matt, I'm going to get him involved into it because we've been working on a plan, and show how we can achieve some of these strategic steps.
Does this discussion cover 7B as well? Take care of that?
We do have parking on the agenda,
Yeah.
7B.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even see that.
No, that's fine, just so followers know that they want to speak to it now.
Yeah, because we're pretty much covering it.
Just from our standpoint too, in the city there, we had one of the rangers come in and ask us to print out 1,000 copies of this brochure that they'd been given as an example of how they could direct people over to the lot by the soccer field. And we weren't quite ready to print them 1,000 copies of an unfinished document, so that's going to go back to their next meeting, and we're going to decide, how to finish that out. But they seemed very willing and ready to start using those materials. So.
Good, good.
They heard about it and they were ready to use it right away.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Michelle just balked at the 1,000 copy order.
Okay. Tony,
No,
any
that's it.
further?
Yeah.
Jolene, I'll get back to you.
Let's see, I had an AMBAG meeting, and the American Red Cross, which I wasn't aware, we're part of the Monterey Bay Area chapter of the American Red Cross, and they are looking for, it's San Benito and Monterey County, and they're looking for board members who could participate in 6 meetings per year, every other month, and help with fundraising. They're looking for people who are movers and shakers in their communities. They apparently usually have 18 to 20 board members, and they're down to 12 at this time. So if there's anyone who is interested in serving as a board member for the Monterey Bay Area chapter of the American Red Cross, I did have Michelle post this in City Hall. You can get the website and the contact information for Dennis Alexander of City of Seaside, who is an active member of the board. And we also received a presentation on the California Strategic Highway Safety Plan from Caltrans, which of course I couldn't help but think how their ideas on 156 really go against a whole lot of their Strategic Highway Safety Plan, but there it is. And let's see, Eric Gradasov already gave the Neighborhood Watch. There was one concern that has come up at the meeting a few times about us, Area 19, that sometimes it appears that the deputies, when they say they're in Area 19 and we maybe expect they're patrolling, they're actually here patronizing our restaurants and coffee shops, which we love to have their patronage, but we would also like to see them patrolling so that the number of hours they spend here is a true reflection of the hours that they're working here. And then I also attended a strategic planning committee. Is John Freeman here? Do you have any brief comments on the strategic plan? I know you did the minutes. For the
Yeah,
meeting,
I
what
mean,
we accomplished.
every one of the subcommittees gave at least some sort of report on what they've been working on. The idea was to short list the ideas for projects and things, and some people had some very detailed ones, like our government and communications subcommittee had a really long report put together. And we've identified some good stuff, and things like the Boy Scout troops. One of the troop leaders, not from your sons, but from a different one, came in and asked if they had projects for us. So our youth committee is very interested in getting them involved in some other things in town. But yeah, we've compiled a list, and we're going to get started on that now, going out and getting those stakeholders together and everything. So I think it was a good, productive meeting.
Thank you.
Actually, both of my meetings were canceled this month, so I have nothing to report.
LAFCO met last month, but nothing to relating to San Juan. The meeting for this month is canceled, but I believe next month we have an item that will be going there that's on our agenda tonight. And also next month, I believe they'll be dealing with our, can't think of the name, municipal service report, I think it's called. Has to be done every 5 years. So they're doing a couple each meeting, and ours will be done then, or presented.
Okay. I had a water resource meeting. Basically, it was just to reiterate to conserve water just to people in the audience, and also that are listening in. If you feel that you have a water leak and the toilets are running, you can call Sean Novak, the County Water District, and they'll come over for free and replace your flappers, and they'll check and make for you. And it's at no cost. The city pays for that service, and they do have rebates for washing machines and water softeners, so on and so forth. But he can give you all that information if you're thinking about purchasing a new piece of equipment.
Are they still giving away the toilets?
The what?
Low flush toilets?
Yeah, I believe they still have them, and that's toilets too.
Roger mentioned today that it looks like some of the plants need water up by the reservoir, which I thought they were dryland landscape and didn't really need water anymore. But I think last year Sean Novak came and looked at that situation. I wonder if maybe we should ask him to come back again and see just how much water those trees need to stay alive.
Yeah. He'll come over.
Because we'd hate to lose, I don't think we're going to be, even in a dry year, I don't think we'd be in danger of losing the shrubs. They seem pretty well established, but the trees could be an issue, and I think he might have some insight on.
I think we need to water at night. I forget what time it is, after 6 or something.
Yeah, those
like
trees
that,
are on drip.
which
but-
is kind of hard to do with city staff. They
Yeah.
have to work overtime.
I don't, on drip, does it matter if you water at night?
Oh no, drip I think is set up on a timer, isn't it?
Yeah, that's strictly drip up there.
I think what's
Yeah.
happening is the squirrels and the neighbors chew the lines and get those everything.
So it's more of a maintenance issue than it is. Yeah. Well, he finds leaks in your yard, maybe he'll find leaks on our reservoir. I mean, not the reservoir itself, the plantings.
Okay. We're going to move on here. Mandy, 6A, you're up, and then we'll go to 8A, closed session.
Thank you very much. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, and thank you for the accommodation on the agenda. The item we have for you tonight is a proposed 3-year extension of Recology's contract. As you see in your staff report, the contract was set for seven years and 3 years if it's agreed to by all parties. And we're coming to you at this time, the 7-year date is June 30th of 2015, but there's been several mandates coming down from the CalRecycle And also, in your staff report, I told you about a bill, AB 1826, which would mandate green waste collection. That has passed out of the legislature and sitting on the governor's desk. So I don't know, obviously it's ultimate fate, but it has now moved, past both houses. So what we're looking at is, as I told the Board of Supervisors, we're attempting to be proactive here and look ahead to the mandates that we have. AB 341 mandates 75% recycling by 2020, and probably one of the only ways our regional agency will get there is if we do include organics in that, and we are looking at, with greenhouse gas emissions, probably within the next 3 to 5 years, there will be bans of organics to the landfill. So we will have to look at mandated green waste collection and food waste collection sometime in the near future. And with that in mind, we were also making a suggestion to you. We'd like to do some pilot food waste programs with restaurants. Come up with, and one of the ideas is to create a subcommittee of citizens. Each of the council members would appoint one member. Obviously, City of Hollister council members the same, Board of Supervisors the same. And we would work with this committee to implement some of these mandates so that when things actually come down where they tell us we have to do this, we would at least, engage the community, and we've done, some outreach to make sure people understand why we're having to do what we have to do. So, Phil Couchet from Recology is here if you have any questions of him. And I'd like to just give a quick plug for them. They were contacted by a teacher at San Juan Elementary with their water situation, and Recology stepped up and provided over 450 water bottles for all the students there.
Thank you.
Did you all get a copy of the amended resolution, the one that references the, you did, okay, good.
Any questions to Mandy from council?
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
I got a question. If this thing in 2020 comes about,
Oh, it has come about. It was passed 2 years ago.
okay,
Yeah.
how is Recology going to handle this? I mean, you're going to have green waste, recycles, and trash.
Correct. And they do that now, and so food waste would be combined with green waste.
Really? I only have 2 cans.
Well, right now, green waste is by subscription and not mandated. So I think, I feel like I asked you this before, 25%? Yeah, approximately 25% to 30% in both the cities and the county are voluntarily subscribed to green waste collection service. That's not food waste at this time, just, your brush, line.
Okay, yeah, all right, I understand that because I don't have any green waste because I got all rock.
Okay.
But what about food waste? How are you going to separate that?
Well, that would go in, when, we're anticipating, because this is the way things seem to be going, it's mandated that we collect the food waste, it would go in the green waste container. And I don't know if you've read about in other jurisdictions that do have food waste collection, but most residents are given a small container for in their home, then they take that out to their green waste container, and it has an odor, reduction thing in it, like a carbon filter and things like that. So there'll have to be an extensive public outreach on that.
I guess.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's why we want to start with some kind of pilot program to get.
I'm a little confused on the green waste issue because I currently pay for an extra green barrel. I actually have it at our rental house because we own 2 homes. And the rental house, I got them a green barrel, and we kind of share it. But it used to be that the green waste barrel, prior to working with this company, the other company we had gave us free green waste because I understood it cost them very little to compost that. And this company charges us a lot for that extra green waste. And I imagine if it's mandated, it's going to cost everybody a lot to have this barrel. And I don't quite understand it because it seems like composting should be a lot more environmentally friendly and cost a lot less money than throwing away a bunch of plastic and junk that never disintegrates in your landfills. So I don't understand why it costs so much from this company.
Well, I think, let me start
Because
with...
it's a significant increase on that green barrel.
Yeah, what happened, the company that you had before is the one that operates Z-Best down on Highway 25, and that's where they were taking all the materials. And I obviously don't know the increment that they charge for green waste, but it's not, you weren't charged anything. And I think
We weren't charged anything.
No, it was in your rate.
It was in the rate, yeah, but the rate was below what we're paying now without the green barrel.
And that's one of the things that they bid this contract and their rates were much higher. And what happened with this council, the City of Hollister Council, and the County Board of Supervisors, when citizens came forward while we were going through the RFP, I should say prior to the RFP process, when we put the document together and asked, you know, what do citizens want to see in this and what kind of services do they want? When we bid it, we asked them to give us refuse and recycling together, and then if you had yard waste, what would that be included, what would that be separately? And again, with the two councils and the Board of Supervisors, listening to the citizens coming forward, as they say, you know, those who speak, you know, are the ones that are heard. They said, please don't charge us for green waste, please don't include it in the rate. I have a gardener, or I compost in my backyard. So when they looked at the rates and we did the evaluation, we said, okay, let's take green waste out of that. And that was at the request of both councils and the Board of Supervisors, based on citizen input. So that's how we ended up there. But I can tell you, and if you're interested, I can show you the documents of the company that was providing you service before. It was more than Recology when it went out to bid, as we say, on the open market. So rates significantly increase, which is a point to why we're asking you to renew for these final 3 years, because they're doing it at the exact same rates and not increasing it. If we went back out to bid, your rates would go up, and we can give you that documentation if you want it. In other jurisdictions, every time you start over again, the rates go up. So I'm not sure if I answered all of your question there, but I don't think there's any way around, you know, an additional cost when we do.
Yeah, it's just a little confusing because at that time, we weren't required to have the green waste.
You're right, sure.
And so it might have made a difference had we at that time been required
Yes,
to have the green waste.
I think you're absolutely right, yeah.
But now we're past that point.
What's really on the table tonight is an extension of the contract, not the rates.
Yeah, I understand that.
So we should probably get back to what's agendized.
Okay.
I know it's nice to tie up all the loose ends when you got the subject coming up, but I've been called on this, so I'm more sensitive to it now.
Be happy to meet with any of you separately if you have additional questions.
Thank you.
Any other, Robert?
No, this one.
I don't have anything.
Let's extend it.
Public comment.
Yeah, I'm gonna,
One
I think we're done, Manny. Wait, is there any public comment on?
I have no speaker.
I think, come on up and just, I have a speaker.
I feel like my trash gets picked up every 2 weeks. And even with that, under this contract, I get penalized because I compost, I have very little recyclable materials because I'm way ahead, I'm way, very organic, etc. So I'm paying, if you're going to extend this contract for 3 years, I'm paying a tremendous amount of money for someone to go through, to my recycled whatever, and get a few cans, and it's just too much. I mean, I'm strapped because I pay tremendous amount of water, okay, even having to let the lawn go, but I compost, I do my whole garden, I do hardly have anything to recycle, and that's, every time the trash is picked up, that's almost $30. That's crazy. We need some decisions before 3 years. I mean, this company could not be the best. I don't really want to receive all that information. I know all that stuff, and if the money's going into all the information, everybody can get that. But what I'm paying and what I've been paying now for several years is just too much.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody else that'd like to address the council? Seeing none, I'll close it and I'll bring it back.
The rate is $33 every 2 months, correct?
Yeah.
Roughly? 50 if you have a green barrel, every 2 months.
48 something.
It is a point that people will be penalized if they have to have a green barrel when they don't have anything to put in the green barrel. But
I know it's kind of almost cliche on that one.
yeah,
I think if everybody has to have one, the price should go down. I would
I would
think.
hope so. That's kind of my
But again,
point.
prices are not on the table
Yeah.
tonight.
That'll still be negotiable.
Going to be interesting 3 years from now.
At the end of the 3 years.
Another.
At the end of the 3 years.
Oh, come on up. You just said your name and we know who you are, but just for the public information.
Karen Gretasoff, I'm at 1108 3rd Street. I know prices aren't on the table, but if we're looking at a contract, part of that contract is pricing. As a citizen of the town, I have recycling, I have green waste, I have garbage. Every Thursday morning, my husband puts it out about 5 o'clock in the morning when he goes to work. I go out about 7:30 in the morning, and there's somebody going through the recycling bin. So if we're looking at prices, we also need to be looking at people going through our recycling bin, and we're being charged for that, but then there's nothing in the recycling bin because it's been taken out. So just a little caveat on the whole contract things.
Thank you.
They start earlier than that. When I take my walk at 10 o'clock, guys are out going through them.
At night, yeah.
Yeah.
It's free money.
Yeah, so, but, okay, I'll bring it back. What's the wish of the council?
Well, okay, so by extending this contract, we're also extending what the pricing and stuff that was from the past. So we're basically extending this thing out with not really negotiating, talking, right?
We have been assured by Mandy Rose that if we put it out to bid, it would cost us more.
I think the pricing is set by the Consumer Price Index, and we've already agreed to that when we first adopted the contract. And so every year, I guess it just goes up by whatever the CPI has gone up. So it's fixed, it's not arbitrary on their part.
But it won't be fixed if they have to include a green barrel in for everyone.
That's not coming up in this 3-year extension that we're voting on
Okay.
tonight.
That's
That's
after the
coming
3
up
year.
next time around.
Okay.
We're talking about the wrong thing here.
Okay, I need some direction, a motion, and
Move to approve the resolution, what's the number? Linda?
36.
2014-36.
okay.
Second.
Second, I have a second. Any further discussion from council? No. Okay, roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Cosio,
Aye.
Councilmember Bach,
Aye.
Councilmember Edge,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Lund,
Aye.
Mayor Moore.
Aye.
All members of the council being present, the motion as stated by the maker passes unanimously.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, we're going to go to closed session. You guys can stay put, hold down the fort. We'll go into the other side. We're going to discuss, we're going to go in for it's item 8A. And then when we come back, we're going to go back to item 5A. So we've kind of moved everything around.
Just for the record, the closed session is for existing litigation as described in 8A.
Right, so anyhow, just stay put, we're leaving.
So we don't need all of our...
Open up the meeting again, and I'll have the city attorney address the closed session.
Yeah, the council retired to closed session to discuss the matter that's described in item 8A on the agenda, and discuss with legal counsel, and direction was given to legal counsel, and there's nothing further to report out.
Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on. Number 5, public hearing, 5A. Consider an ordinance rescinding ordinance 2014-01, which amends section 11-04-110 and chapter 11-29 of municipal code to modify provisions for the design and architectural review of retail businesses, restaurant businesses, visitor accommodations within the city, and readopt municipal code provisions rescinding by ordinance 2014-01, reestablishing limits on the approval of large-scale retail businesses, farming visitors, accommodations, and restaurant businesses. Okay, Roger.
Pretty much self-explanatory, as you recall.
Okay.
2014-01 removed the restrictions. In this case, it'll go back and then reestablish it.
Okay. I don't have any other comment right now. I'll go ahead and open it to public comment. Is that fine with council? Okay. At this time, I'm going to open item 5A. If there's any speaker cards.
I have no speaker cards.
Is there anybody that would like to speak here? Okay. Okay, seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and close it and bring it back.
I'm sorry, it doesn't seem as self-explanatory to me.
I'm sorry, man. Can you come up here, please?
I mean, it's not as self-explanatory to me. I wonder if you could explain it a little. So what exactly is being modified?
Roger, you want to just give her a brief synopsis?
The City Council adopted ordinance 214-01, and it eliminated 2007-04. It basically established architectural control and allowed unrestrictions of commercial, retail business, restaurants, and visitors' accommodations. And the ordinance further established new architectural standards for adopting that. The adoption of that ordinance was done by a categorically exemption, and it had been sued against the provisions of the California Environmental Quality Act that it was improperly approved under a CEQA exemption category, and it should have been done under a environmental impact report.
And so the council's reaction was to rescind it and to re-adopt the ordinance that was in its place prior to that.
You're going to have Kara.
I think if you just use the word formula business or fast food, then the lay people will understand what this is all about. So it puts limits on people allowing to put in fast food at restaurants.
Thank you.
That's not totally accurate, though, and that wasn't the intention.
That's not accurate at all.
It's formula businesses.
Okay, public hearing is closed. So I'm going to bring it back to the council. What's the wish of the council at this time?
This is an introduction of the ordinance.
Second reading, so it would be the motion
Second
to
reading.
pass and adopt.
Okay, I'll move that we pass and adopt ordinance 2014-03.
And I'd just like to reiterate what I said when we introduced the ordinance, which is that I strongly feel that the new ordinance was far better than the old ordinance, but I do not want to spend the people's, the city's money to defend the ordinance. And so I will second your motion to
Okay, I have a
Rescind the ordinance.
first and a second.
The better
Any further
ordinance.
discussion before I call for a roll call vote? Seeing none. Can I have a roll-
Councilmember Edge,
Aye.
Councilmember Cosio,
Aye.
Councilmember Bach, Vice Mayor Lund,
Aye.
Mayor Moore.
Aye.
All members of the council being present, the motion as stated by the maker passes unanimously.
Okay, let's see. Okay, item 5B, consider rescinding resolution 2014-04, which adopted a mitigated negative declaration for a project number CUP 2014-101 and DR 2014-101, consisting of an Arco fuel station, convenience store, and quick-serve restaurant at 404 and 408 the Alameda. That's 5B. Okay.
Roger, let me just give you a quick on this. The council, as you recall, back in March, adopted a mitigated negative declaration for this project, and then a couple of months later reconsidered and requested additional environmental review. And since then, a revised mitigated negative declaration and initial study have been prepared. And so the rescinding the previous approval will pave the way for your considering the new initial study and mitigated negative declaration prior to considering the project at next month's meeting.
Okay,
The ARCO project.
thank you. Before I open it to public comment, is there anybody that would like to say anything? Okay, at this time, I'm going to open this item 5B to the public. Is there any speaker cards?
I have no speaker cards.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close it. Let's see, I'll bring it back to the council. What's the wish? Go ahead.
Make a motion for rescinding?
Pardon me?
And it ends right
To
here,
further resolution of rescinding
and
the...
it goes to section 2 of the findings. Do you have the-
It's actually considered rescinding the resolution which adopted the mitigated negative declaration. And is there a resolution?
Or is this the one we
Okay, well,
adopted?
make it in the
This is the
form
one
of
that you-
adopting a
they adopted.
resolution, rescinding the previous resolution, and we'll prepare one with just a one-liner for you, because it should be done by resolution since it was adopted by
Yeah,
resolution.
okay, that's what it says in the
Okay.
agenda.
All right, I'll make a motion that we rescind or adopt the
Adopt a resolution
Resolution
rescinding
rescinding
ordinance, or
ordinance.
resolution number 2014-04.
rescinding
Mm-hmm.
2014-04.
Okay, do I have a
Second.
second by Councilmember Edge?
And that resolution number will be what?
2014-37.
37.
Okay, I have a first and a second. Any further discussion
I'm sorry,
from
who seconded?
council?
I did.
Councilman
Oh,
Edge.
Thank you.
No further,
Okay.
any further discussion? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Bach,
Aye.
Councilmember Edge,
Aye.
Councilmember Cosio,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Lund,
Aye.
Mayor Moore.
Aye.
All members of the council being present, the motion as stated by the maker passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you. Item 6B. Jumping forward here. Roger, it's, or Matt, it's engineering services to
Yeah.
contract with Fury Electric.
Again, Mr. Mayor, this is an agreement with Fair Electrical Engineering Company to provide electrical engineering services for the 400-amp electrical switch panel at the well number 3 site that will serve the sanitary sewer lift station as well as the pellet plant. So it's designed that it'll function for all 3 functions, and that'll be, it'll run the pellet plant, lift station, and well number 3.
Okay, Roger, is that what they're, the slab that they poured?
Yes.
I just drove by there today, they were working on it.
Yeah.
Okay,
And there is a resolution in your packet for that approval.
okay.
This is just for the engineering.
This is just for the engineering, yes.
I move that we approve the contract, service contract with Fair Electrical Engineering,
I'll second.
not to exceed $7,500.
And you'd also be moving the resolution.
Gonna be, yeah, that's a resolution.
Speak up a little louder, please.
You'll also be moving the resolution that's in your packet. Resolution of the council awarding a contract for electrical engineering services to Fair Engineering.
Did we have public comment?
You know, I have a motion, but before I go, I'll open it up to public comment on this electrical box that we're going to purchase, or for this contract. Is there anybody that would like to speak?
It's for the electrical engineering.
Yeah, electrical engineering, basically, out there across the highway.
I'd like to ask Roger,
Say-
are they specialists in the field, or,
Yes.
so this isn't something that you can go out and get any electrical company to,
Well, they're a professional electrical engineering, and they design, large commercial buildings and stuff like that. And they're very instrumental in lift stations as well as treatment plants.
and we didn't go out for an RFP because there aren't enough people to compete for something like this?
There are a lot of other engineering firms, electrical engineering firms that you could go out, and we could solicit those, yes, right.
But you're familiar with?
Yeah, they were familiar with this particular lift station.
Oh,
Yes.
they were?
Yeah.
Okay.
So-
That's
this-
important.
Yeah, and this lift station is a little bit complicated because half the parts are missing, and so we have to fabricate them ourselves to get this thing going.
So the city had been involved with them before?
I don't think we've been involved with them before, no.
But they're familiar with this lift
Yeah.
station?
This brand, this type, yes.
Oh, this brand, okay.
Okay, I have a motion from Councilman Bach. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second. Any further discussion? Okay, a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Cosio?
Aye.
Councilmember Bach?
Aye.
Councilmember Edge?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Lund?
Aye.
Mayor Moore?
Aye.
All members of the council being present, the motion as stated by the mayor passes unanimously.
They were once ago, but they
Okay.
moved after us.
6C, consider authorizing the purchase of a used sweet sweeper.
Avex and Grand Rock.
That's the next resolution, George?
Roger, we're on the 6C, the sweet sweeper.
Oh, this one here, yeah. Oh, yeah. Mhm. The purchase of the street sweeper, the street sweeper has been on loan for us for about 6 months. And we've been training the drivers and the public works crew, and Joe's been running it there. And we find that it's functional and it's suitable for that. It came from the city of San Pablo. And the owner of the thing is Earthquake Sales. He allowed us to use it for the last 6 to 7 months. And now he's asking us if we want to sell the thing or purchase it, or then he'll find somebody else to sell it to. And I think that it's functional and it'll work for us in the coming years and be adequate. We don't use it to sweep streets every day. It's probably on a bi-weekly basis where we can start sweeping the various streets on a rotational basis.
Okay.
Are there any problems with it?
Other than it's a used thing and it works functional, and from time to time you're going to have to put new tires on it as they wear down, or brushes. And the biggest thing of street sweepers are the brushes. And this is a vacuum brushed machine is what it is.
It's just an incredible deal, so
Yeah.
it makes you kind of look at it and go, okay, what is wrong with this thing? And what is it going to cost us to?
It has a lot of, it's because it's been in San Pablo, it has a lot of rust on the outside, but functionally it's in good shape. The Earthquake Sales even welded the hopper for us and made it fit properly. So.
Okay, I'm going to open it up to public comment. Is there anybody that'd like to address the council on this purchase? Okay, I'll bring it back. Any further discussion? Okay.
I think it's good.
I don't know if this is the right place to do it, At some point, are we going to have to tell people they can't park on a certain side of the street between?
Yeah, particularly in the downtown area where we like to sweep it on a more regular basis. And we find that in the mixed use, there's a lot of apartments upstairs, and we're going to encourage them to park on certain days on the side streets so we can get the main street swept.
Excuse me, Councilmember Bach, your speaker is not, your mic is not on. Excuse me.
It's terrible that nobody could hear the wonderful words I was saying.
You can repeat that if you like.
Okay,
One of these days.
I'd like to make a motion that we go forward with the purchase of the street sweeper.
That's adopting Reso 2014-39.
39, okay.
okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
39?
Councilman Bach, roll call, please.
Councilmember Ed,
Aye.
Councilmember Cosio,
Aye.
Councilmember Bach,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Lund,
Aye.
Mayor Moore.
Aye.
All members of the council being present, the motion as stated by the maker passes unanimously.
Okay. Let's do it. Okay, discussion items. 7A, ARCO appeal hearing set for October 21st, 2014.
Can I make a short comment on this one before you
Sure.
begin?
Yeah.
Since this matter will be on for public hearing at the next meeting, I would advise that you not get too deeply into the subject of the substance of the appeal itself. In fact, not at all, and just acknowledge receipt of this, subject to any comments that Roger might have, just concerning the chronology of events. That's basically what this is.
Okay.
And I think he wanted you to have that.
That's, the sole purpose is just to give you a chronology of the time frame.
Okay, so we don't need any action items, a
No,
discussion
no
item?
action, no, yeah.
So,
Are we going to bring
move
that
on.
to public comment?
Is there anybody like to address? We're not going to take any action. If you're, come on up, Dave.
David Maderas, 1026 First Street, San Juan Bautista. Why do you have it labeled as ARCO? I mean, why is that name used on this appeal or what have you? Why is it designated as ARCO? It's my question.
Okay.
That's an
Direct that
interesting
to
question. I think that was just because of the appeal that was filed that way from a court, yeah.
It was filed that way from the court as ARCO appeal?
So,
Well, I believe, didn't you kind of give it that name when it got to the planning commission, ARCO project?
yeah, that's what been referred to, yeah. Yeah.
But should we switch it to what it is on the, maybe a negative declaration of service station?
Yeah.
Is that what the negative declaration says,
Yeah,
service station?
it doesn't say ARCO,
It
so we
doesn't
might
say
want to change
ARCO,
that.
yeah. So we could change that name of that, yes.
Okay, thanks.
Is that okay?
That's fine.
Call it
I mean,
the service.
I think we just kind of lapsed into calling it that. Talk to your chest.
Okay.
And it more properly, because I think, as a matter of fact, the applicant at one point said he wasn't certain if it is approved, what the, will be providing the gas station, so.
So properly,
Better to
it
make
should
a
be
more
called
generic title.
service station.
Yeah, that's good.
And like Matt says, that's what it is called in the staff report, you'll be seeing.
Okay, seeing other discussion on that item, we're going to, the subcommittee already basically gave our report, Tony, right, on the
Yeah.
parking? Unless there's,
Question?
do you have further discussion, Jolene, on 7A? On the appeal, because we're...
I guess not, I've read it.
Okay, then we're moving on.
Okay.
7B, we discussed it. Is there anybody that'd like to comment on the parking situation that we had discussed earlier? Some might have walked in late. If so, come on up. Seeing none, I'll close it. 7C, letter to the Water District regarding well drilling. Roger, I think
This is just a draft, and what I did was suggested, my biggest concern is that if, and the governor just signed today something very similar to this, but my biggest concern is that if we allow new wells to continue to drill for, and pump water out of the underground aquifer. It's going to accelerate subsidence, and it potentially could diminish the underground aquifers. I think that they should really take a critical look at, it is here, a critical look at doing some type of restrictions there until we get over this drought situation.
Okay.
That's strictly my recommendation.
What Brown signed today, that wouldn't have any effect on our two proposed wells, right?
No, in fact, it would reinforce what I just said. He's gonna mandate that all water agencies take a hard look at.
He didn't veto that today?
No, he signed it.
He signed it?
And it'll make us establish groundwater management plans by 2020. That's the sort of horizon on that one.
That's what Brown signed today?
Yeah.
But this is just requesting that the water district
Seriously look at it, yeah.
look at the issuing of permits. Now, I'm not sure if this is the same question as Tony just asked. Is that mean that our wells that we want to put in replacing other wells would count or would not count?
No, we're replacing those wells.
If you're replacing a well, that's one thing. If you're drilling a brand new
Exactly.
well
Replacing an established
where nothing
well.
has, yeah, okay, so these are established wells.
Yes.
So this is just a request to the water district that
I
they,
was specific on that for permits for new wells.
okay, issuing permits for new,
And this is something that's happening all over California. They've done it down in San Luis Obispo County already because of the drought. A lot of people there's a big rush on well drilling permits right now, and that's having a really big overall negative effect on the groundwater levels that aren't really even measured right now. So.
and traditionally cities get first crack at the water that's there. I believe municipality usually gets first crack.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's supposed to be.
You know, is there
Can't make out
any,
the word
basically what
block,
the
but
city
I
did,
can
we
fill it in.
sent a letter to Jeff Catano regarding just take a hard look on, how many permits are
Why
being
else would
issued
you
and
block out the
for what, and
people
just
who are
to,
building
just to be concerned that
You know.
we're, the situation that we're in.
I figured it out.
Any further discussion? Okay. 7D.
Again, it's just my observation.
Well, that's fine.
Taking the action on it.
That's fine. Moving on, go
and-
ahead.
I could tell you this later, but I probably forget. Become sustainable should be becomes unsustainable? No, is there, but it says become unsustainable. The water supply become unsustainable. I think it should be becomes unsustainable. I don't know.
It's just a draft.
Yeah.
Okay, we're done with that proposition, 7D, Proposition 13 reform.
This is something that Commissioner Medeiros wanted you folks to revisit. So I did a little research into sort of what's going on with this movement right now to reform Proposition 13, which capped property taxes in the late 70s to a certain level. I think it's 1 or 2% per year. And there's some loopholes in it for commercial buildings where if you own if you purchase less than 50%, then it doesn't count as a change of ownership and the property doesn't get reassessed. So they estimate that they're missing out on something like, at the state level, $700 million a year in tax dollars. And those traditionally were generally earmarked for education, and so statewide, there's been a lot less money going into education. So the staff report I put together just gives sort of a little bit of background on that. And I also found out that currently there's a bill in the state Senate, AB 2372, which actually addresses this. And it's gone through the House and now is in the Senate and now is being held to see after the state budget, they'll see if there's enough funding to actually put this into place. So I think what we were directed to do is come back and give a recommendation, and as far as the city's concerned, this is something that would create more money for the city. Proposition 13 historically has left cities pretty strapped for cash. and has forced them to compete for tax dollars, especially sales tax dollars. And that's something that, we're seeing right now with all of these proposed developments and everything else. So one of these proponent groups sent us an example resolution that we recommend you look at and consider possibly passing something like this, basically saying, if you agree, that you agree, that there should be some reform on Prop 13. So it doesn't really take any action, it just says we sort of agree with this stance. And if you do, it could be sent to our elected representatives to show that we support this particular AB 2372. And if not, don't pass it. So, yeah.
Okay, I'll bring it back here. Council, everybody?
The handout that came in our binder had a proposed resolution, and I looked it over, and I recall when we first saw this that we had some questions on it, but I can't think what they were now. It seems pretty straightforward and pretty explanatory and a pretty worthwhile thing to support. So I kind of like that. I wasn't aware of 2372 until I got your report.
Yeah.
But that's kind of sitting in committee. It's under submission.
Yeah, it's mandated to be approved.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's in the Senate Appropriations Committee right now.
Oh, I thought it was like parked there where they could ignore it.
It's been approved through Assembly and through legal.
But it is sitting in a suspense file. Thank you. So
it's an amendment to the proposition.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So basically, doesn't that take care of it?
Not really,
Talking
because it
about?
hasn't been, it's not
I mean, if
law
it,
yet.
well, I mean,
But
if
the
it goes into
association
law.
that's fighting this argument is the one that first contacted us, and this is their resolution, and if we adopt that, I don't know if you caught, but the city of Los Angeles has supported this.
Yeah.
And, the more voices that join in, the better chance they have of getting the laws changed.
And I think what Matt said is he's recommending that you bring that back if you're interested in.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rather than doing anything.
It's just a discussion item tonight. We
Yeah,
can't
so nothing
vote.
would happen tonight. You would,
Yeah.
if you did want to pursue this, staff could put something together and bring it back. This is a very partisan issue. I know not everyone agrees, and so you should honestly give this some thought, because some people in the community might not like this, but it's an interesting thing to consider. And we had some people wanting you to reconsider it, so that's what we did.
Julie?
Well, I can understand why schools and other underfunded programs might see this as a way to getting more money in their coffers. But I have a little bit of a problem with it. I think about something like the old cement plant that was here. And this is probably a bad example because it left because of environmental laws. But that is the type of business that owns a lot of property but isn't making that huge a profit, but employs a lot of people. And if it had to leave because of something like this, rather than the environmental issues that caused it to leave, that can hurt a small city like us. So I'm just not sure that this is the right answer. And again, with the fact that it may already be on its way at the state level, it may not matter what I think, but I'm just not sure that it is the right thing to do to support it, because I think that there are companies that may own a lot of property but may not have a large profit margin that can't afford to pay this. Just like the little old lady sitting in her house can't afford to pay it, even though she happens to own an acre or whatever. But she's, it's been in her family forever, but she's not making any money off of it. I think that there's companies in that same situation, and companies mean jobs.
Tony?
In reading this, and I remember, I'm older than most of you, so I remember when Prop 13 came in. And at the time, I owned a home in Gilroy, and the taxes kept going up and up and up. And I thought, oh, Prop 13, that's a great thing. But Sacramento promised us that, you know, we passed this, and then we're going to live within our means. And guess what? Politicians, and I'm not a politician, they seem to exaggerate what we get. More fees, more ways to. It's like the schools. Okay, the schools were supposed to be funded after Prop 13 went in, and what concerns me about changing Prop 13 is what is going to happen to that additional money. Are we going to build a bullet train or what? I don't know. Everybody knows I'm against that. So, but that's my concern about changing or fooling around with Prop 13 at this point.
Well, you know, I'm pretty conservative. The only way I ever would favor something like this, if they took that estimated $700 million and told me who's getting what out of all the counties. It's going to police officers, 3 going to San Benito, 5 going to Sheriff's Office in Santa Cruz, so on and so forth. And teachers, instructional aides. I would want to know where that money's going. And then I may consider getting on board with that. But you know what? It always ends up at the administration end. It never funnels down to the kids, to where the people need it. So until I see that, it might be a little extra work, but if you estimate $700 million, then show me where it's going. And if it gets $700 million and San Juan Bautista is going to get a piece of it, Hollister, so on and so forth. But I want to know where this money is going and who's going to get it. That's the only way I'll ever support this. That's what I have to do.
And most of it does go to the schools.
That's
But
fine.
But like you said,
make sure it goes to
it can't
the
go
classroom.
to administration, yeah.
Well, just make sure. Show me, you know, on paper. I'm good.
So having identification where it goes, you know, would be a big plus. You know, like they said, the schools would be fine after Prop 13. And then we had the lottery. Oh, the big chunk of money is coming from the lottery.
Right.
Then we're having these other taxes, impact fees, and the schools are still in trouble? What if we didn't have Prop 13 or the lotto? It'd pretty much be back to homeschool, chalkboards and everything. You know, I don't think this money's getting sent to the schools. In our intergovernment, they need money. And from what I hear from the teachers and reputations, that they don't get paid anything. It's like one of the lowest incomes for the highest amount of education required. So if this can help, you know, I'm for it.
Okay. I'm going to open it up. You heard us up here give our spill. Is there anybody in the public that would like to address the council on this item? Okay.
I would like to address the council.
Okay. Go ahead, Lynn, and then Dave. Go ahead.
I'm addressing this as a citizen, and I mean, there's way too much information here for me to be able to state it in 3 minutes, but I should have put the timer on myself. You guys watch the clock. No, but seriously, there's so many things wrong with this, starting with the idea that it's a loophole. Since when is developing and investing your own money and developing it into some kind of a profit margin and employing people who pay taxes, when is that somebody else's money? When did that become a loophole? This mentality of it being a loophole just absolutely amazes me, but that's a whole different topic. Of course 59% of the people polled support it, because 59% of the people polled are not business owners, and it wouldn't affect them. But I can tell you, I have really mixed feelings about this. I have invested in real property in Reno, Nevada. And I'm so happy that Tesla just opened their plant in Reno, Nevada, because it made my property values there go up. And it employs people over there. But guess what's happening here? as Jolene pointed out, we have empty storefronts here, and we have properties, we have businesses leaving the state of California because we are one of the most regulated states in the entire United States. This is not a business-friendly state, and I don't know when our legislature is going to get the picture that doing these kinds of things and trying to put their hand in other people's pockets and take their money and regulate everything is going to make businesses want to come here to employ people. Employing people is the #1 thing that will make a healthy economy. If you don't have businesses, as pointed out, Disneyland is one of them, and Chevron is another one. Those are huge, and yes, they could probably afford to do this. But the fact is, they employ people, employed people spend money. Spending money in the economy is what keeps it healthy. Those people also pay taxes, which fills the coffers for the endless needs of our legislature. If the 8th largest economy in the world, the state of California, 50% of its budget is earmarked, untouchable, for education. If that is not enough money to operate a school system in this state, I don't know what will, and handing them more of your money is not going to solve the problem. I think we need to start looking at ways to administer a little more creatively than we are right now. But that's, again, a whole different topic on Economics 101 and management and administration. Handing them more money is not going to solve the problem. So I hope this council opposes adopting this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Dave, come on up. Thank you. Go on.
Dave, if you dare.
Look out, Manera.
Nothing personal, Dave.
I mean, you're entitled, everybody's entitled to their opinion here. This is not a commercial, this has nothing to do with commercial, this has to do with real estate, this has to do with property owners. And all we're trying to do here, not we, but what I think they're trying to do here is level the playing field so that everybody shares in the tax burden equally. And over time, what has happened with Proposition 13, if you look at the statistics, you have large corporations who own a lot of land, who at first were paying their fair share compared to your residential property owners, and over time that has reversed, where the pool is being paid by just the residential owners versus the large corporations who are stuck with the Proposition 13 time frame, which is in the 70s, what have you. So I'm for leveling the playing field so that the levy taxes that do come to the state of California becomes greater. You're talking about an increase of over $3 billion that will be given to the people, not the corporations, for control as far as the money is being spent. That's where I'm looking at this, and I think we should approve this. I mean, at least advocate and support this. And I've listened to this council talk about, worried about whether small businesses are going to be impacted by this. I don't think so. I think all it is that what's happening here, we're all going to be paying our fair share. That's all we're asking us to do. And if there is a company that's in the state of California who leaves the state of California because of taxes, that's never going to happen. The only reason why companies leave a state or any country is for competition. And competition drives everything worldwide. Taxes is a small part of that. That's it.
Thank you, sir. Before I close it, anybody else want to get into this little discussion? Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, bringing it back.
Well, the negotiations where Tesla was going to go was over the Labor Day weekend, and I think we had a couple politicians that chose to rather go on vacation that weekend in California.
Not too good.
Okay, let's
Well,
see.
Dave makes some valid points, but he hasn't swayed me, I'm afraid.
Okay, it's a discussion item. Do we bring it back, or do you guys want to?
Well, I think it's obvious it wouldn't get passed if we bring it back next week, so why go through the trouble? But if we are spending so much money on education, why have we gone from like the 10th state in per pupil spending down to the 49th. Everybody else is spending more than us except one state per pupil. So
It's true.
you want your kids to work at McDonald's, or you want them to work at Microsoft?
Okay. Okay, at this time, does anybody want to bring it back?
We just had one more comment from Dave out in the audience there.
Oh, good.
And one more statistic you need to understand, there's a lot of companies have left the United States to go overseas, Mexico. IBM was one of them. I used to work for IBM. And one day they walked up to me and said, you cannot compete anymore because labor is cheaper in China, and they decided to go to China. And IBM, over 10,000, 12,000 people in San Jose, that company went away within 10 years.
And they still had that property.
And they still have that property, because I almost forgot what I was going to come up with for. Forget about it.
Okay, well.
But I mean, like they drove and they went for cheaper labor, but they still own the property, and the property is still stagnant, and they're still paying the low tax money on it. If they're not using it for, employee or something to, benefit California, put them back in the,
If the property's valuable, they'll sell it.
It's more, might be something for the stockholders to build the number on. If they sell it, they'll have to, do something with that money.
They will sell it to another corporation, which will not pay their fair share.
Okay.
Yeah, they're gonna piece it back and forth to another
Well,
corporation.
I understand totally that there are problems. I'm
think-
just not sure that this is
I agree
the
with
solution.
Rick. I think we should have this brought back and have further discussion on it.
Okay, that's fine with me.
Okay, it's worth the try.
Okay.
Is that
All right.
We're going to bring it back.
Bring it back.
Are
Okay.
you directing me to do anything?
Yeah.
You wanna-
If you
Prepare a
would,
resolution and see if we pass it.
prepare a resolution, yeah.
Okay.
Mayor Moore,
Yes, ma'am.
I would like to go on the record as requesting an opportunity to prepare this document that we received tonight that provided all the research is completely one-sided. No offense, it's good research, but it's completely one-sided. And one thing that's critical for this council and for every government agency, especially before they support taking other people's money,
I guess
is
I
that
didn't
they
get
have
that.
both sides of the issue. This will be the fourth time this issue has come back to this council. The council has already addressed it once and voted on it once, and now it's back. This will be the fourth time if it comes back next month. So I again am going to request, I had a note in the last one that said I wanted to be involved in the staff report, but that didn't happen. So I would like to go on the record as requesting, I would like to have a copy of the staff report that is going to be presented to the council, and I would like an opportunity to provide additional documentation and statistics to give you all the information you need to make an informed decision.
Okay, do you need, sounds like a court, but do you need, no, do you need, and we can bring it back in November?
She is a lawyer, you know.
Do you want to bring it back in November? Do you need?
It makes no difference to me. I have some of my research,
Or you can bring it back in
already
December and I won't be here.
So the first,
It's up to you. Go ahead, George.
We're going to be pretty busy at the next meeting, so you might consider November.
Let's go November. We'll just tentatively
we'll go
put it
to
on November.
We'll go to November, but the first time we had two representatives from both sides.
Yeah.
come.
Yeah, we did. We've had.
We had representatives
some
from both sides.
Mr. Boyd, now-
decision,
Yeah.
but now it's back, and it's
Yeah.
back.
Well, wait a minute. Are you telling me that I can't make another decision?
No.
No, don't
Somebody
infer
asked
that.
me to, so-
He's going to bring it back
Well,
to
we're-
us. You can put your input into
We'll
it
do it one more
as
day.
a citizen.
That's fine. We'll figure November.
The reason I had
We'll go
voted against
November,
it was
you know.
because I didn't have all the facts, and I didn't want to go through with something that I didn't have all the facts on, and that's the way the vote came down that night. But after further researching it and looking into it, that's why we're bringing it back, is for more reconsideration and more involvement at that time.
Can I suggest that if this comes back, I not be the one to present because I'm staff. I'm supposed to be nonpartisan, and this is obviously a big partisan reaction. So can we get, if this happens, can we have someone actually out in the public or another advocate?
You have 60 days. You guys figure it all out, and we'll come bring it back.
Yeah, but the thing is that I'm not in a position
Roger
to.
can, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, we're not directing you to play both sides.
My take is that at the federal level, Social Security is the third rail. At the local level, Prop 13 is the third rail. It's
Okay, well, we're going to...
There's two sides of the story, and it's a hard...
May I make a request that we ask Dave Maderos and Linda McIntyre to give us presentations in November?
I'm sure they will.
There you go.
Hey, okay, we're going to bring it back in November,
The gauntlet.
and then we'll just put it on there. Is that all right?
Or a representative of your choosing, Dave?
It makes more sense to do that and then to direct me to resolutions. Otherwise, I'm drafting something that could just be tossed aside. So we have other things to work on. So
that works.
Okay.
Somebody
70
convince me.
complaint regarding a special event. We each got a little
complaint.
This is for the city council to kind of look at each year we put on street events and everything, and some merchants are affected more than others, and in this particular case they just wanted to bring it to your attention that there is impacts for street events, and then the part of it is the fact that maybe we should have some funding a little bit more on police officers to police it.
You know, this complaint about the blocked doorway and the vendor who wouldn't move the stuff, all he had to do was call the sheriff's office. We had deputies working it. They would have come over and said, you can't block the door.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't people call the police when they really need them? You know?
Hey, ask them to leave. You're no longer welcome here. I mean, a vendor.
Isn't it a fire issue too?
Yeah, exactly.
Could be.
Exactly.
Well,
So I mean, you know, he could have done something to help himself instead of just writing a long complaint later.
And I try to, in the early mornings, walk the street with the event sponsor to make sure that it's consistent and we don't have any problems. But from time to time, they'll crop up, you know.
Usually the problems with the motor.
I'm sorry, I'm distracted.
Who sponsored this particular?
The arts and crafts was Jason.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
Okay.
What was their chief complaint on the?
There's two
Arts and
complaints.
Two complaints, yeah.
Two complaints. One was about the Arts and Crafts First Street Fair of 2014, which was in April, I believe, or March. Mm-hmm. And one was in August at the, does it say which one? Would have been the antique fair.
Antique fair, yeah.
Was this one mine?
Yes.
Yeah.
Was this one here?
Jason should, I mean, he's got to tell his vendors, hey, you can't do that.
Yeah, and
We should make it a responsibility.
don't get me wrong, they try to mitigate and run a good ship and everything,
Yeah.
but there are sometimes things get out of control, you know, and you just have to make sure that I keep reiterating to all the sponsors that the merchants should have first priority to make sure that they're not impacted, the existing merchants.
I've seen several times where they've had the stuff on the sidewalk and you actually had to walk out into the street and go, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's not allowed, and those vendors should know that.
Yeah.
But again, I have to agree. I mean, there was deputies wandering around the streets.
That part should be policed by the event coordinator.
Well, each sponsor has a block captain, and I think the Rotary does a good job. You know, they try to do it, and as well as Jason, he rides herd zone. You know, so.
Yeah, as far as blocking the sidewalks, it really should be up to the promoter, and if we need to strengthen, you know, our agreement with them to make sure that they have enough people out there to police it, that's one thing. But it does bring up that I think more and more we're being affected by people who don't want to follow the rules, because the second complaint is about somebody fighting in front of the store, basically. And I've heard more and more about things like that, and I just wonder, I firmly believe the city cannot afford its own police department, and we can't go back to the days when we used to have our own police department. But maybe to supplement the sheriff's department, we really should consider some kind of private patrol. And that would, of course, be at city expense unless we can get people to step up and say, hey, this is a problem. I understand the city doesn't have the funds for it. You know, maybe we should tax ourselves. Yeah, right. and try to raise money for some kind of private patrols.
You know, I'll just chime in at the neighborhood watch meeting, and I hope that the next council takes this action. But the DSA has got a hammer over the sheriff regarding using level 1 reserves, and those are reserve officers that just retired that can work up to 960 hours a year. Excuse me. You know, they're using them in the courts.
3-week one.
But they can. Watsonville uses them. The sheriff's office, San Jose PD. But they would come in, you don't have to pay them benefits, but the DSA from the county will not allow level 1 reserves to work out in the field. Even though they're qualified and probably more qualified, it gives a perception that instead of 2 cars out at night, you have 4 or 5, 2 or 3 maybe reserves, highly trained ex-full-time police officers. The county says, nope, you're not doing it. You go to Santa Cruz, you go to Watsonville, San Jose, so on and so forth, they use their level 1 reserves.
Does that come back as a union thing?
It's a union thing, and I am telling you, I think that the council ought to look at it. I know the city of Hollister, and I'll be very allocated thousands of dollars for a reserve program that Westrick's getting off the ground, and he's told me he's got commitments from full-time officers ready to come on board that would probably, if you can work something out, a reserve officer would love to probably come over here. You pay him so much an hour, 18 bucks an hour. Roger figures out the shifts he needs them, because that's the only way the city can afford it, you know, besides the one officer. Because we're not getting the coverage, I'll tell you that right now. In fact, on the break-ins, I was getting calls. I even got a hold of First Alarm to come in here. You know, and they were, you know, maybe to come in and, you know, we'll come in and check, or, you know, whenever Roger, we had talked about it, because people were just going crazy. That, hey, what are you guys going to do about it? You know, yeah, what are we going to do? Because it's public that the night they caught that guy, they were out in an alarm on a burglary on Fairview Road, and I got a call from Captain Taylor at 8 o'clock in the morning. Those guys busted that call, got down here and got lucky and stopped him, but they knew that we were getting hit again. But you got to look at the county too. They have, you know, 2 deputies, and what are we going to get? So I think it's something the city, the city fathers ought, and whoever's sitting up here, ought to really look at different options of bringing in reserve officers who's going to employ them, because I think that's the only way that, you know, this is going to, you're going to solve this. Traffic's a big issue, you know, just, you know, to get the personnel in here.
Mr. Mayor, is there any point in some of us going to the supervisors' meetings and talking to them about the Deputy Sheriff's Association?
Here's the
That's
problem.
DSA, right.
I mean, you
And-
only
and
have
the
2,
fact
you know,
that
I'm
the
not going to
union
get into
won't
this,
agree
but
to
you only
this?
have 2 out in the county right now. 2. So if you
No,
get
I understand this,
okay,
but could
but-
we petition the supervisors and have any input
but I
into
guess
this
what I'm
Deputy
saying,
Sheriff's
Jolene,
Association
the
union?
county's one thing, we're on our own. So basically, what we're getting,
But it's because of the county Sheriff's Association, the union.
exactly. I believe
that
that
we can't
they're
get 'em.
trying to work on the MOU, renegotiating and that.
They are.
Yeah, they're trying.
Would it do any good for us to encourage them? Because
Yeah, I don't-
I'm thinking,
They're aware
If
of it.
Roger belonged to the Deputy Sheriff's Association Union, he wouldn't have been able to come here and work. And look what a great city manager we have.
Well, they will not allow, yeah.
I mean, it's the same sort of thing. He would not have been allowed to work under that union rule.
I'm telling you, they have a hammer over the sheriff right now that they cannot put level 1 reserves out.
All right, well, let's look into it.
I'm just, hey, and it's penalizing us because we can't employ them to work events or certain times because you can't put them out. But that's just how I feel. Is there any other?
Quick question.
Okay, I will in a minute. Go ahead, Rick.
Going back to the shows, does the promoter get a deposit from the vendors or just a fee? In other words, does he have any money he can retain because they don't follow the rules?
We could ask him, I don't know the answer to that question.
We might think about requiring
Like a security
that.
deposit.
Yeah, and you conform to the rules or we keep your $500 deposit,
If all compliance and everything was cleaned up appropriately and signed off, then you get, you receive your deposits back.
Because the vendors do break the rules and they
Yes.
know what the rules are.
It's a good point, but what do you do about
I would have
a consistent complainer who maybe doesn't really have a real complaint? Do we completely believe the complainant, even though
We just lit the fuse on that one.
people who are putting on the show, the promoters, said that they didn't have any of these problems? Because you have to
Everybody's got
figure
a
out who's
phone
telling
with
the
a
truth.
Camera and video, take pictures of it. If
Yeah,
see it-
you need evidence that this really occurred. I mean, and I'm not saying this person is not telling the truth. I'm just saying that is a possibility. There are people who just like to complain.
What?
It's true.
Okay, go ahead. This is the last.
Another revelation.
Hey, go ahead and fill out a speaker card or address you who you are. We know you're Richard, and then we'll wrap it up.
In support of the promoters and the events, the flea market's been going on for 50 years. We get a complaint every year. Jason does have a station downtown. I think it's right next to Jardines, where he has staff dealing with problems. I think people should help themselves and learn that there is somebody there to take care of their problems. And I guarantee you, if they are called, they will take care of the problem. Jason is very easy to work with. He does work with the business owners. We can't keep every doorway free or open, or we wouldn't have an event. We only have so many blocks that we could rent out. And in defense of the Rotary, they do a very good job putting on the show. And they have
Yeah, I was impressed last time.
They have block captains out there. It's just a communication problem. Maybe you can require the vendor to leave a phone number to every dealer. I do a show in Oakland, a big show. We have 900 dealers at Alameda, and we are provided with a phone number. Every dealer is provided with a phone number, and if we have a problem, they have staff immediately go out and take care of it. And that's all we need. There's complaints every year, but I'll guarantee you, if we stop these events, you're going to get more complaints. We need them. We need the events. The downtown people need the events to survive. And yes, Jolene, there is some that complain.
Richard, just to clarify, this person complained that they had boxes stacked in their doorway.
That can be taken care of.
Yeah.
Take the boxes. They're in your doorway.
All you do is they just have to have a way to get a hold of the promoter. The promoter makes money. Let's not kid ourselves. That's why he's here, and he will take care of the problem.
He doesn't want to lose that.
Pardon me?
He doesn't want to lose that privilege of having it here.
Exactly.
He'll address it.
Thank you.
I'm good.
Georgiana Gallardi, corner of Franklin and Second. On every special event and on every weekend, the little Baruti Park is usually filled. There's no restroom facility on that end of town. can't we require the sponsors to place another one of the toilets down at that end of town when we have an event? And I don't know what we can do about it as a city on weekends. That little park is overflowing. I know that Roger has a plan to build a restroom there, but it's not there when people actually need it. And of course, the library is closed on Sundays and all afternoon on Saturdays. So we're allowing people to come and enjoy our city, our parks, and we aren't providing facilities for them. And I think we ought to be able to figure it out. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Anybody else? Okay. Guess that's it.
Yeah.
Addressing her about a restroom at Baruti Park, I had suggested we put a blue room there, but then there was something about a pad had to be,
Yeah, right.
and that hasn't been done. What?
Usually those blocks are closed off.
No, the blue ones are better. Yeah.
No, she said, can't you put it in the street, but not
you
on
have
a
it-
regular basis.
Usually when you have,
I didn't even get that.
Tony, turn off your mic.
Are these complaints given to the promoter?
We will.
Because that,
We redacted them and they will be given to the promoter.
yeah, that
let's get Mike up here.
might be some, I'm sure they would argue what the people say, but, yeah, we have to pay attention to our local business people, but,
You know, I have to address this complaint because I read it and I've had other people tell me the same thing. These people, they want a police department. Up until 1990, we had a police department. The city went broke. Everybody was let go. Public Works, city man, everybody. This town was run by volunteers. And since that time, we've made I feel, you know, especially in the last few years, we've made a pretty good recovery. But what a lot of people don't understand is how much it costs for a police department. And I have to admit, I was one of the ones that stood up there at that podium and asked why we didn't have a police department. It would cost us at least $1.5 million per year to have a 24/7 police department. And we just don't have the money. Now, I don't think a lot of people understand that. They probably figure we're skating by or something like that, but we're not. We just don't have the money to spend for something like that. Now, Andy came up with an idea. There's a security firm out of Santa Cruz or someplace that actually would, you know, for, what was it, $750 a month?
It was First Alarm.
First Alarm. And
Santa Cruz.
And it was a reasonable fee to have somebody, I mean, these guys can't do anything, you know that, security guards, they don't have a gun, they don't have anything, they can't even write a ticket.
Some do.
All they can do is observe and report. But if we had somebody downtown, as Andy says, he walks downtown at 10 o'clock at night and there's nobody down there. You know, hey, I'll do whatever I want. If we had, possibly if we can figure out if we can afford something like that, that's something we can do. But don't delude yourself that I don't see where we're ever going to have a police department. You know, this complaint mentions Lonnie and that, and you know, hey, I have to tell you one thing, Lonnie's not with us anymore, and but that's just the facts of life, and I'm sorry, but we have to work with what we can get, and right now we can get a sheriff's deputy approximately 40 hours a week. And I'm done.
Okay. Mike, you...
I think we can do a little bit better than that with either trying to petition to get off-duty officer, or I guess they're basically retired
We're
officers.
not bound by the county, right?
Or
What's that?
We're not bound by the county if we use,
You can use whoever you want, I believe.
If we
You
use
can
private
contract
security?
whoever you want.
well, if we were to hire within reserves in the city alone.
No, they can't do that.
They're going to have to be
I asked
affiliated.
one.
They're going to have to be.
No, because they're part of the union. The retired
I-
guys are part of the union, so
I
they
asked
can't
one of
work.
them that's here quite a bit on Saturdays.
Yeah.
All he can do is serve papers. I asked him, I said, hey, you want a job?
Because it's the union that's not allowing them to do
But
it.
what about like reserves pulling out of Santa Cruz and in Watsonville?
I don't know.
For here.
Well, this is
That I
kind of
know.
true. You're going to need to find a department that has a reserve program, that have level 1 reserves, that are covered if they make, bad arrests. Then we pay them basically whatever the city agrees to pay. Watsonville has 4 or 5 part-time officers, retired, that come back and they work special details. They get paid so much, but they're under the synopsis of the city of Watsonville. So basically, they work for the city of Watsonville. So if you were to contract with another agency, you would hire their reserve officers, and they would be under their,
Umbrella.
yeah, umbrella. That's how that would work. If they made a bad arrest, or ended up really
Or
getting-
private security.
Well, or private security is another issue too. But that's something for somebody, you guys.
All right,
can
well, let's
work
look
on.
into it.
Yeah, figure out down the road. Hey, I want to, Mike, do you have anything to say? I know you were.
A couple things.
And then we'll wrap it up.
I'm pretty well talked out. I've had a long day. Basically, the only thing I really want to mention to you is on the 27th of this month, which is not this Saturday coming up, but the following month, we will have open house here at the firehouse, at all the firehouses throughout the county. And there'll be hot dogs and drinks for those who come by and visit. Come out, get to know your firefighters. Come and see your fire station, that wonderful station that we've been working on for a year and got it all finished, and share it with the community. That's all basically I have for you guys. If there's some questions, I'd be more than glad to answer.
September 29th?
7th.
September 27, at what time?
From 9 till 3.
Oh, it was said 11.
Give us a little bit of time to prepare in the morning and a little bit of time to clean up.
See, he said it wasn't going to start until 11, so you didn't serve pancakes.
I tried, Mike. I tried.
I'll get it down on syrup. No, we're just, it's out there. I like to bring back the pancake and spaghetti dinners and stuff like that. I just got to get everything organized and stuff like that. And reserves, it's pretty much a program that usually the associations and unions do and stuff like that. It's not really something a department puts on per se, but I can definitely motivate them. Okay?
Thanks, Mike.
Is there anything else you guys have?
Do we have a call volume or?
I wish.
Okay.
I can tell you right now, the call volume hasn't changed much for any of the stations the last couple. It's running right around between 290 and 310 is where it's running on the calls. Stations are running about 20 some calls, I think, out of here. I can't give you definite statistics. I just came from a call in Hollister, one all day, basically a 48-hour call. So it's been a long day for me. I go by the office, I can stay here.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm sunburned if you haven't noticed.
I could, yeah, a little.
Yeah.
I just thought you were nervous.
No, I'm pretty well exhausted.
I
And
have an invite for the fire department to come to the library open house.
Awesome.
The Historic Society.
October 11th,
Library.
we'll be there. We definitely have representation.
Weren't you supposed to give that to her?
And as far as the
Why do you keep
some of the
pressing
issues
Roger
about the fairs and the stuff,
He said he'd do it.
anything we can do to assist you, if Roger, I've extended our hands out to Roger. If we need to come down and assist him and get him the permits and walk in the streets with him and all that, and we can do that. Okay?
Thanks, Mike.
No problem.
You got some kudos tonight for your inspection program.
City council comment? Or
Mike, I kind of elaborated on the city inspections. I was with them Tuesday, moving out, and they went very well. The business owners were real receptive, and We gave them a list of some of the recommendations and went back, Captain Farinella went back a couple days later, and they were all within compliance and doing very well with that.
And I think it's just like anything else like we were talking tonight, it's communications. We gave them a, hey, we're coming out, we're gonna help you, we're gonna bring about, fire safety as much as we can. We can't prevent every fire, but we can prevent a lot of them, and it's just through education and communications. And I think as long as we keep those doors open, we'll have success in the program and all. Are you talking about the helicopter ladder? Yeah. We had a helicopter come in, actually several over the last couple months, but this last weekend, it was a gentleman that got injured, was flown out, and that's pretty much, it's the school's one of our sites. The park is another site that we can land them at.
Soccer
we use
field.
these control sites because those are areas where we can control the flow of people, traffic across it, and it's a good area for the helicopter to land. If we can land them out at the site where the accident happens or the injury, then we will, but if we can't, we'll transport them in here to the school or to the park. Those are our two landings within the city.
Soccer field's real good. It's there's no wires. The debris is always kept pretty clean. It's
And they have a good
rotor wash.
They can get good lift to get out. No, that ain't problems.
What,
They've got a good clear area.
what park do you go into, or do you mean the soccer field? when
Park
you say-
right down here.
Abbey Park.
Okay, I'm thinking the name
Okay.
of it.
Abbey Park.
Abbey Park.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't realize you went into Abbey Park. I hadn't seen anybody over there.
Well, yeah, we've landed a couple
We
times.
had a 10-year-old boy we flew out. What was that,
Yeah.
about 3 months ago?
Yes. Vehicle accident. Yeah, so
Vehicle versus pedestrian.
it's whatever, it's, as I said, it's whatever we need. They can say, hey, we don't like this site, and we'll find an alternative for it. But that's what it is. Any other questions?
That should do.
I appreciate
Good,
it.
thanks.
Appreciate the
Thanks.
time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rick, you have something?
And we'll be there.
Okay.
Comments? Two things. We're bringing back the Prop 13 thing. I'd like to see us bring back fracking, but it has to be done next month because the election is in November. I'd like to consider that again. That's number one. Number two, when you stand facing Anthony Cornage's antique store, the street light to the left of his store, when you're facing it, has an electrical cord plugged into it, and it goes down to the corner of his building and into the yard next door. I'm curious if the city is paying for the electricity and who's using it.
We actually approached that on the inspection,
Uh-huh.
and it was dead. It was dead at the time of inspection. It was pretty much tied off. It was not plugged into the light.
Okay, well, I looked at it early this morning with a flashlight, and it looks like it's plugged in. It's a heavy-duty cord. It's a heavy-duty cord, and I tried to look in the backyard to see where it goes, and I can't tell.
Well, if you unplug it and somebody comes out, you'll know. Yeah. The reason why they had it was for the Christmas lights during November, December, but it's not November, December.
Yeah, it's, no reason for it to stay up year-round, so. That's enough. I don't have anything else.
Okay, I'll go to council comments, I guess, Rick.
I'm good.
You're good? I'm
Going
good.
that way.
I believe, I was going to double check this on the internet. My husband said it was Disaster Preparedness Month this month. And I just thought I'd mention that. Everybody, especially in the view of the earthquake up in Napa, check your first aid kits and all that. If Disaster Preparedness Month isn't September, then it's October. So it's either now or next month. Be prepared.
Or whenever the disaster.
Or whenever the disaster occurs, yeah.
Tony, you have any comments?
Yeah. Are you done?
I'm done.
Okay. A couple questions. A few months ago, we had a presentation on electric community choice aggregation. And I wondered if anything had ever happened with that.
Was that for the...
Whether we're going to merge or like Salinas, Monterey, all of us get together and buy our own, like Santa Clara does.
Okay.
I just wondered if anything had ever come of that. I wanted to comment, with the help of Trish, I got Caltrans to come out and cut back the bushes and whatever at the corner of, let's see, it'd be the southwest corner of the Alameda and 156. Surprisingly, Caltrans got right out there and did it. And a third thing is I received an invitation for, and I'm sure everybody's welcome, dedication ceremony and tour of the new courthouse for San Benito County will be on Friday, October 10th at 3 p.m. at the courthouse, of course. And that's it.
Okay.
And what, I didn't quite understand the first one.
Remember that young lady made a presentation about the electrical aggregation where several cities get together and they buy the power.
Yeah. Was that something that staff was supposed to act on?
Actually, we were hearing about that through intergovernment. I'm trying to think of what the, who was the girl that gave that presentation?
Yeah, it was a young, I can't remember her name.
Brennan Jensen.
I
just wondered if it died or what.
It ran out of electricity.
I went to solar, so.
Ran out of juice.
Roger?
Okay.
Are you good? Matt, you have anything to say? George?
No.
Okay.
Okay, I
Motion
guess
to
that's
adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay.